Welcome back, and it's Tuesday, which means we have some news to cover around the Ontario Hockey League, and we got the CHL Top 10 rankings, which has been dropped, and a team that I think's been well overdue finally made the top 10. And then we also have a signing with the Barrie Colts, which is pretty exciting if you're a Colts fan or from the greater Sudbury area, plus some arena news and some controversy from a game over the weekend. We have all that to cover. And let's start things off with the CHL Top 10. There was only two teams that made the cut from the Ontario Hockey League. The Halifax Mooseheads, once again, number one in all of Canada. But how did the two OHL representatives do? Well, the London Knights, they fell to number 8. This is the lowest they have been all year. They went 2-1 over the last week, including a 3-2 win in overtime against the Brantford Bulldogs. Max McHugh is the hero in that one. And then they went up to Owen Sound and won 3-2 before losing to the Kitchener Rangers on Sunday by a final score of 4-2. It was a busy weekend for the London Knights. Penalties have been a bit of an issue for London, one of the most penalized teams in the Ontario Hockey League, but they're still getting the recognition at the Canadian Hockey League level as they're in the top 10 again. And I know there's some fans who question how they come up with the rankings, but either way, you cannot deny the fact the London Knights have a solid lineup. They're considered one of the top teams in the OHL, and well, they've made the ranking once again. But because of that loss on Sunday, that's resulted in a team making the top 10 for the very first time, and that is the Kitchener Rangers. They've been near the top of the standings all season long, defying expectations along the way, and finally being recognized for their efforts. The Kitchener Rangers, they are tied for first place in the Ontario Hockey League right now with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. This is a team, the Kitchener Rangers, firing on all cylinders. They went 2-1 last week with wins against the North Bay Battalion, who are near the top of the Eastern Conference. And then, as I mentioned, that win against the London Knights. So two very big victories. Carson Rakoff continues to have an outstanding season with Kitchener. He leads the OHL in points with 30, and he's also number one in goals with 17. So they do have a huge game coming up the odd on Sunday. They're getting set to take on the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. So potentially a battle for top spot in the Western Conference and top spot in the OHL overall. So I'm glad to see Kitchener finally being recognized for their efforts, because this team, a lot of people were writing them off, considering them a bit of a bubble team to make the playoffs in the Western Conference. And yet you've got players like Rakoff, Misljevic, Philip Machar, he's back from Montreal Canadiens. They're all getting it done. And finally, the Kitchener Rangers getting their due respect for that hot start. Actually, I don't know if you can call it a hot start anymore, because for Kitchener, they play Wednesday night in Owen Sound. That's game number 17, which means they're now a quarter of the way through the OHL regular season. And with it being the quarter mark, I'll be doing a video next week just looking at how teams are doing a quarter of the way through the regular season, some of the surprises, and going over some of the stats. So look forward to that next week. Continuing with the news, the Barrie Colts making a signing. Nolan Newton, he signed an OHL scholarship and development agreement with the team. Newton, he's a Sudbury, Ontario native. He was drafted 93rd overall in 2022 in the 5th round, and he has had an outstanding season with the Sudbury Cubs. He leads the team in points. He's got 17 goals, 19 assists, good for 39 points. Right now, the Barrie Colts struggling a bit, just 2 wins in their last 7 games. So for the Barrie Colts, looking to get Newton maybe in the lineup this weekend. They have a big 3-3 coming up. First at home against Kingston before traveling to Mississauga and then taking on North Bay on Saturday. So the Barrie Colts, a big signing. Hopefully this could bring some offense, maybe just that finish, because I think that's one problem for the Barrie Colts right now. They're getting the chances, they're getting pucks towards the net, but the finish has been lacking a little bit. So we'll see what Newton can bring to the team, and big congrats for your big signing. Now to the controversy. This happened Saturday night between the Owen Sound Attack and the London Knights. They have a long-standing rivalry. They're both from the Midwest Division. Whenever those two teams get together, bragging rights are on the line. The game on Saturday was at the Bayshore in Owen Sound. And when you see these two teams go head-to-head, you can expect maybe the gloves to drop between two willing combatants. And that's exactly what happened. Sawyer Bolton from the London Knights squared off against Owen Sound Jackson Stewart. But what's different is these two players were called for staging a fight. With that comes an automatic 3-game suspension. So Bolton and Stewart both suspended 3 games as a result of the staged fight. But I don't know. I was watching the video of the fight. It happened about 12 seconds after the face-off, and I understand there was conversations happening during the warm-up between these two players. They're two big players. For Bolton, his dad was an enforcer in the National Hockey League, and he's got that role. He already had one fight this year against Jack from the Brantford Bulldogs, but to say it was a staged fight, I kind of question it. I see where maybe they're coming from because the officials, they know these two players were communicating about potentially going toe to toe, and it happened. But I get why they have the rule. You don't want to be seeing the teenagers just dropping the gloves willy nilly. You don't want the line brawls. You don't want the players just getting hurt in the process, and especially when we know so much more about concussions and brain injuries. The league's trying to crack down on that. They already have the rule in the Ontario Hockey League where players are allowed 3 fights before a suspension, but they could take that next step. The Quebec Major Junior Hockey League this season, they banned fights. They want to get it out of the way. But you have to wonder, though, as a development league for the pro ranks, these players need to learn how to play the physical game before they go off to the National Hockey League, the American Hockey League, the ECHL, where fighting is allowed. There's no cap on how many fights you're allowed in the pro ranks, but at the OHL level there are, which you kind of have to wonder, is it a little dangerous to have a cap where these players, they don't learn how to properly take the stance when they're dropping the gloves, how to properly grab the other player's shoulders, or shoulder equipment and the jersey and whatnot. So I think for this one, I'm kind of wondering if this suspension is worth it. We've even seen with slewfoots, sometimes they're called, and then the league doesn't go through with the suspensions. We saw that with Delbor Dvorsky when the Sudbury Wolves were in Barrie. He got sent off for the slewfoot, but then the next day the league saying no suspension for him. But I think that's where the consistency is a bit of an issue in the Ontario Hockey League. So let me know in the comments down below what you think about this. I know the fans, 50% love the fights, the other 50% a little concerned because these are teenagers after all. This is junior hockey. You don't want to see these players getting hurt, but at the same time, if they're preparing themselves for the professional ranks, maybe fighting should be allowed. Maybe they need to be taught the proper techniques. And with the stage fighting, yes, we don't really need it. It's the fights that just happen because of a scrum in the corner. Maybe you're defending your teammate who took a cheap shot. But either way, that's what happened in Owen Sound Saturday night. So both Bolton and Stewart suspended, Stewart and Bolton both suspended 3 games for a stage fight. Now, this news came out this week from Peterborough. There are talks about building a new arena to replace the Memorial Centre. These talks have been going on for years. Back in 2018, the city got a planner to look at some design ideas, locations, and they came up with an estimated price of $71 million to build a brand new facility, potentially downtown Peterborough. But those plans put on hold, of course, the pandemic. But now with the rising costs, they're looking at $107 million now for a brand new arena to replace the Memorial Centre. The site has not been chosen as of yet. I know the preferred site is downtown Peterborough, but still, it's quite the price tag for a brand new facility, mind you, with inflation, with the cost of goods, and then the labor shortage. It piles up quite a bit. But the Memorial Centre, it had major upgrades about 20 years ago. And I almost wonder if that would have been the time to replace the Memorial Centre. I know there's a lot of people who love that arena. It's got unique qualities to it, like the square boards. If you want home ice advantage, that's where it's at, playing for the Peterborough Petes. It makes it a lot of fun. And that's what I used to like about the OHL. Every rink had its own charm, its own characteristics. In Belleville, at the Yardman Arena, they had the Olympic-sized ice. You go to the Jack Gaycliffe Arena in Niagara. That was the smallest rink in the OHL. Now, of course, they demolished that building, and now the Ice Dogs play at the Meridian Center. So I understand buildings need to be replaced, but at the same time, we're kind of losing that charm. And I think that's what is kind of fun about some of these older rinks that you go to. And I'm thinking like the Odd. The Odd in Kitchener it's like Maple Leaf Gardens of the Ontario Hockey League. If you've never checked out a game in Kitchener, highly recommend it. But I think it's great to have these new facilities, but at the same time, I feel like we're losing out on some of that personal flair from some of these OHL teams. So the Peterborough Petes might be getting a new home probably in the next few years as the city right now looking to move forward on the new rink. And I figured, well, since we're on the topic of new arenas, I did some digging and wanted to look up the Sudbury Community Arena situation because I moved to Barrie 8 years ago, and I came from Sudbury. I was part of the broadcast with the Sudbury Wolves. And while I was there was always talk about a new arena. They wanted to build it out in the Kingsway, which was outside of this downtown core, but that price just continued to balloon. So city council decided, nope, we're going to scrap this. But now the city has approved spending $12 million to purchase the buildings across the street from the current Sudbury Community Arena with the hopes of putting in a big development. And of course, they're leaning towards the new entertainment venue and arena. The Sudbury Wolves are playing in a 72-year-old arena, same age as the Odd, but if you've been to either rink, you know that the condition of the two buildings very different. The Sudbury Community Arena, I love the wooden panels on the roof at the Sudbury Arena. The view for the broadcast, outstanding. But nothing lasts forever, and it seems as though maybe City Council will get that done within the next 4 years, and we could be talking about a new arena for the Sudbury Wolves. So that's where they're at. The Brantford Bulldogs, they could have a new home if they stay in Brantford long term. City Council there already saying they're exploring a 5,000-seat arena, which would be home to an OHL team. They're going to start the public engagement phase in 2024, so that's moving forward. And last week, we also heard about the $280 million renovation that's being planned for the First Ontario Centre in Hamilton. I know they're not hosting an OHL team right now, but you have to wonder, could an OHL team move back to Hamilton, or do the Bulldogs go back to Hamilton? We don't know that yet. There's so many parts in play right now as to whether or not the Bulldogs stay in Brantford, go back to Hamilton, or does another team go to Hamilton? Is it the OHL, AHL? We don't know, but we know $280 million is being spent to renovate the First Ontario Centre. And of course, here in Barrie, we already know that there's also plans to upgrade the Sadlin Arena. They're not going to replace the arena, but they want to add more seating. They want to attract events like the Brier, maybe the Memorial Cup down the road. But still, there's some arena news that's now starting to trickle in now that we're past the pandemic. City council's talking about building these new facilities. So we're looking at maybe new arenas in Peterborough, Sudbury, and Brantford. Those are the three right now. But we'll have to wait and see. But it's hard because I love some of the older rinks with their characteristics, but still, you have to move forward. There's the amenities these teams want to make a profit, and it's just a sign of the times. So if you are a fan of any of those arenas, tell me what your thoughts are of having a new rink in your hometown, or even if you would like to, see some of these arenas stick around. Just put your comments down below. Love to see the interactions. Remember to hit like and subscribe to be notified about future videos. And the Barrie Colts back in action this week. So I'll be in the broadcast booth with Gene on Thursday night. And that's a 7 o'clock puck drop as the Barrie Colts take on the Kingston Frontenacs. So again, thank you for tuning in. And remember to hit like and subscribe. And we'll talk to you again soon.